Vishvamitra, for you again, could you give us a little bit of an intro about how you got into Ananda Marga and when, and then you're also a family acharya, so that brief origin story.
So my introduction to Ananda Marga was in Charleston, South Carolina.
Hold a little bit closer to your
My introduction to Ananda Marga was in Charleston, South Carolina. I was living on Sullivan's Island, and I was a single parent with 3 children, 4, 6, and 8. And I had started a meditation practice that, with the help of friends who brought me books of Ouspensky and Maya Baba, and that was the literature that I first started reading and started practicing. And I adopted a mantra of ocean. I live on Sullivan's Island by the ocean, and so I adopted a nature symbol for my mantra. Ocean was my mantra. But one day someone knocked at the door, and my son said, "Dad, there's someone here to see you." And I went to the door, and Govinda was there. He had been sent by Vishvamitra from San Francisco. And Govinda said, "Yes, we were downtown speaking with some of the young people that you work with on a hotline." A hotline was an emergency line for drugs and suicide. And I was training these young people. And these young people had told Govinda that there's a crazy psychologist out on Sullivan's Island. He's interested in that sort of thing. And Govinda was inquiring of them to get some help to start a Jagrati. And so they sent them to see me. And I said, "Yes, I would resemble that. Come in." And so we had a vegetarian meal with Govinda and his wife. And his wife had a baby on her back and a little papoose, and they wanted to know where they could find a Jagrati. And I said, "Well, I know of a possibility down on Charlotte Street in Charleston. We'll go down there the next morning, but we had a meal together, and they spent the night. And we went down the next morning, and we rented the place. And so soon after, I took a lesson from Govinda, and then he said, "In 3 months, Jatish Fernanda's coming, and I want to introduce you to him." So he came 3 months later. It was in April of '71, and I got initiated. And the initiation was something I could understand. I had gone to hear Dada speak at a church, and I couldn't understand. He had a very heavy accent, and the only word I could understand as he was talking about brahmacharya was atom. But I could understand very clearly when he was teaching me the first lesson in Ananda Marga. So I started meditating with the group there, and it was something very special about that meditation. I felt a presence that was very important, that stayed with me, and is still with me today. So that's how I got introduced to Ananda Marga.
And very briefly, you became an acharya. When did that happen?
Well, that came a few years later, in 1970, in 1997. Vishvamitra and I were the first acharyas trained from outside of India as family acharyas. And heretofore, there had been only family acharyas trained in India. And so we thought it was an important step to take. And this involvement as a family acharya brought me, this involvement as a family acharya brought me deeper into Ananda Marga as a pacharaka, as helping other people find the path of Ananda Marga.
So again, why do you stay with the organization, and/or why do you stay with Baba?
Well, there was a quote by Baba in the last year of his life. they asked Baba, what are we going to do when you're no longer here? How will we run the organization? And he says, you'll have to remember that that the key to running the organization is if you want to know who I am, he says, you'll have to perform the mission. And so that's been the key to my involvement with Ananda Marga, is I've wanted to know more about Baba. And I've always been attracted to the mission. And I was a psychologist teaching at a medical school. I was a psychologist teaching at a medical school, and my involvement was offering service to the community. I was the director of a community mental health center in a predominantly black community that served the community. And this concept of service was an integral part of my life. And when joining Ananda Marga, it was one of the key things that attracted me to Ananda Marga. And so to hear Baba say that if you want to know who I am, perform the mission. I've always been about trying to understand Baba by performing the mission, by offering service and doing my sadhana. And so what keeps me is that same feeling I had when I first started meditation on Charlotte Street. That same feeling has stayed with me throughout, and that felt connection with Baba has always been there.
Look up to for just how active you are and how much service you have done and continue to do. I'm sure it's very inspirational for everybody who knows how much you're involved with.
How old are you now?
And Dada Fernanda wants to know how old you are now. I was having this conversation with my parents. I was like, is he like 84? How old are you, Vishvamitra?
86.
86! Oh my God. To be so lucky to be so active as Vishvamitra at 86. Yeah. Woo! So you've seen Baba many times, but now that you're not seeing him in person, how do you maintain that connection with him?
Unfortunately, I was blacklisted in India, and when I got the news that Baba had passed away, I was very sad that I couldn't go there. And we were given instruction that at 4:30 in the morning to get up and do our sadhana in front of our puja table. And so I had my alarm set, but I was awakened by every window in the house shaking. And I woke up and I looked and the alarm hadn't gone off, and I turned the alarm off, and then I went and sat in front of my puja table. And as I sat there and I closed my eyes, I had this vision of a ceremony that was being performed in Calcutta. And I saw Baba's profile on a funeral pyre, and I saw someone come with a torch to light the fire of that funeral pyre. And then all of a sudden, I saw the smoke rising, and there was a spiral movement of birds. And I felt this closeness to Baba. And I later asked someone about what happened at the last moments of the funeral pyre, and I gave them the description of what I experienced in that vision, and they said, yes, that was seen by everyone there, that there was a smoke spiral, and the birds came like pigeons and swirled with the smoke. And so I felt like Baba was communicating with me, I'm always with you. I'm always with you. I'm always seeing you. I'm always seeing you. And that's an assurance that we can all have, that He's always with us. He's always seeing us, and He's doing our meditation. He's doing our meditation for us. So we are fortunate to have this connection with Baba.
Thank you so much for that. That was so sweet, and I can feel the emotion. Last question is if you had any piece of advice for leadership, what would you say?
Well, I go along with Swaroop and Didi, but I cast it in terms of friendly cooperation. I've been working on a book with Supriya and Vishvashanti and Chandrasekhar called Friendly Cooperation, and it's about to be published and shared with everyone. And this friendly cooperation is, it taps the emotion that Swaroop and Didi are talking about, or that we're all feeling and sharing at this very moment, this emotion. Friendly cooperation, Baba says, is a better term than coordinated cooperation. It was communicated to D.N.S. Ananda. And he said, of course, the emotion is aroused, but it's transformed into devotion. But devotion has as its springboard our emotions, our feelings for one another, our feeling of love, our feeling of love for one another. And this friendly cooperation is something that is closer to devotion than the more clinical sounding word coordinated cooperation. Coordinated cooperation is more of a clinical sound, whereas friendly cooperation is that emotion that is aroused in us in terms of our satsang and our feeling of relatedness to one another. And not only our relatedness to one another, but our relationship to the whole creation, both animate and inanimate. All the birds, all the animals, all the people, all the oxygen that we are taking up in this room, all this so-called non-living entities are part of a living system. And so it's this friendly cooperation to feel this connectivity, this relationship with everyone and everything. That would be the advice, to share this friendly cooperation with everyone and everything.
Thank you so much.